What is going on, everybody, and welcome to the final part, and also Merry Christmas if you're watching it on the day it comes out. If you're watching in the future, it is not Christmas Day, but there you go. If you are watching on Christmas Day, as it is Christmas, then congratulations. I don't know. There you go. Have a great day. If not, or if you're watching and you don't celebrate Christmas, whatever, just have a great day anyway. But yeah, we'll get right into it. The final 6 turns, and then we will, I'll quickly count out who won. We'll go over that, or who is the winner as such. Give everyone their shout outs. We'll then go through the info addicts, assuming they open. Hopefully they will. And then once that is done, what do we do then? And then yeah, tomorrow, hopefully I'll just let it run to like 450 or something and show you that tomorrow. And if nothing has happened, I'll show you 500. And if nothing at all just happens, then that will probably be it. But I'll try my best. I mean, it also might not go much further, so I can't promise anything. But we will continue the main wars, of course, going on in North Africa. In fact, the only wars at the moment, mainly the fall of the Garamantes. Assyria is maybe going to get a few more Egyptian cities before this is over. Actually, yep, there you go. They just grabbed Giza. So we'll keep an eye on that. That will affect the scores. I think Egypt probably was 4th and probably the furthest off the other 3. So it won't matter too much. But it could affect where Assyria finish within the top 3. And obviously Egypt themselves are actually still growing. So I don't know how that will... It's going to be weird, isn't it? How it all works out. But we should see that, and we'll keep an eye on what they're up to. Morocco as well. They should boost their score a little bit. Can they overtake Spain maybe? Again, I don't know. They might already be ahead of Spain. But that sort of area. 5th, 6th place. Sort of between 3rd and 6th, up for grabs kind of still, I would say, between all these civs. So we'll see what happens as Giza falls back to Egypt. But yeah, do you think, well, we've got 5 turns, including the one that's ongoing. Will the Garamantes be completely eliminated? They've got 3 cities under siege. You've got Morocco sieging Dedris in the north. West here, you've got Garama and El Hatia under siege by Egypt, and maybe this one will go too. They could be completely eliminated, which means someone else will sneak into the top 10. I say sneak because there's hardly 10 civs left, to be honest. There's about 12. I think there's 12, and then the Netherlands and Portugal maybe on top of that. Byzantium. So, so a lot of those. There's 12 or 13, but most of them are very small. As Assyria retakes the city of Giza. Here we go. If I scroll across a bit, we can sort of see what's going on with hopefully not crashing the game. Hopefully. Anyway, Poland's turn. I bet 399. That's when we're going to get like some huge crazy war. It has happened before. We're going to get like Poland v Austria. It wouldn't surprise me if it did happen. Of course, I will show you the action, just not turn by turn. So it will be a bit different. And hopefully that will be out, like I said, tomorrow. I would hope so. Hopefully. Okay, here we go. Big turn for Egypt. Can they take some cities back? Their next city along the coast is also falling to Assyria. Fuet is not looking too good. Will they move the planes out? No, they're going to keep them there. Brave move. You could lose all those planes. That could be a disaster. But they've been brave, kept them there. Here we go. Will Egypt... Egypt's already been, actually, so the Garamantes probably safe for another few turns. Although I'm pretty sure El Hatia at least should fall next turn. Morocco will still go, though. They don't have too much here to help. The submarines obviously can't do much. But a couple of rocket artilleries. Mechanized infantry and mobile SAM. 1 plane. There's enough. There's definitely enough to get through one city. So it could see the Garamantes eliminated. Here we go. Is Assyria going to make their move? Are they going to get it done? Oh, so close. Just missing out. But there's 4 turns left, so I wouldn't panic. Sure they'll get that before the end. Very, very close. It's Poland's turn. 396 turns have now passed. Quite a lot. Normally we don't stop earlier, but obviously we do the results earlier, so I don't know if that will weigh in differently. The only real change is we probably won't use technologies in the scores, just because the civs that have sort of reached the end earlier are disadvantaged, whereas there'll probably be 5 or 6 civs maybe now with 80 techs, or very close to it, so it's a bit harsh on the one that got to 80 first, which I believe was Poland. I think Poland was always ahead on technology, but maybe I'm getting that wrong. So we won't use that, and we're not using land just because it's a bit unfair, and especially with the mountain ranges on this map where there's a lot of land that you just get for free. With the border growth, Poland, Egypt in particular, Assyria has a lot of land beyond the mountain ranges into the areas that we blocked off. So we won't be using those, but the other areas will definitely, all the other usual categories will be used as normal. Spain's turn. Is Spain doing anything? No. Biggest disappointment. I don't know if you can call them a disappointment. They've done okay, right? But if you actually look at it, 1, 2, 3 of these cities were not settled by Spain. Funchal, Coimbra are both Portuguese city names. Sicyon, I believe that was Carthage, and they obviously took it off the Papal State recently. So Spain's not really done anything, so I guess they've been kind of disappointing. But there we go. Morocco grabs the city of Dedris. Egypt gets El Hatia. So the Garamantes down to 2 cities, slipping down there with I would say the Netherlands and co, but obviously the Netherlands are so far behind on technology. Sadly, that's probably not true. Even if the Garamantes drop down to just 1 city, they'd probably still be above the Netherlands. Also, Assyria grabs the city of Fuet, and here we go. 2 turns left to maybe get someone a shout out. Out of everyone who predicted, I'm guessing there was probably picks for Poland, Egypt, Assyria and Austria. I'm guessing maybe there was picks across all 4 on episode 1. I will find out very soon when I open it up. France pieces out with Portugal. That is not the big news we were expecting. I can't believe it. I stopped recording for 1 turn, and that's the turn we get a huge war, and then another 1 turn afterwards when I come back, and then that's it. We don't get anything else. The AI, mostly very peaceful. This is literally all we've got going on down here in sort of northeastern Africa. Iclif here is still being held by Egypt. Egypt certainly has less units now. Look, I'm not so scared of scrolling over them anymore because they are not full of units. Even Assyria has less units, whereas I do not want to look at Poland or Austria because the game will probably break. 1 turn. Will Assyria be able to grab anything? How will it end? It's going to be 2 cities potentially. That could really hurt Egypt. And obviously Egypt themselves could add maybe 1 more if they have the best turn ever. Sadly, I don't think that's going to be the case. But there you go. At least they got 1. They messed up a little bit here. There's obviously some sort of categories as well where there's going to be better civs. And civs will do better than we expect. Austria obviously have a lot of cities. You've got to remember they have that big section north of Poland as well. So here it is then, the final live turn. After this we will go to highlights of every sort of 10 turns or so, 10, 15, 20, 25, 50, depending how much is happening. You know, if there's absolutely enough, then we'll do 50. If there is stuff happening, we'll do less. But there you go, France and Egypt piecing out. No new excitement. This is the turn where we probably could get a huge war break out, and that'd be quite funny. Egypt did not get anything. Here we go, Austria. Could you imagine if Austria pulled the trigger on a big war now? No. I kind of hope they don't, just because that would be sort of frustrating for everyone. But here we go. It's looking okay. I think we're going to get away with it this time. I'm going to get the notes app open on my phone. Do I have one with the scores from before that I can just build on? No. Okay, we'll start a new one. And we'll put the scores in there. But there we go. Iclif has been captured. So Assyria, at least, they didn't get these 2 cities. They missed out by 1 turn, but they did get this one. So that will at least help their score going into the info addicts. Poland denounces Morocco. I don't think they're going to declare any wars though. I think we're all good. I think the AI is going to spare us from any awkward huge war right before we go into the results. But there we go. That is it. So I'm going to go count up the scores now. Then we'll go through the scores and the info addicts. So I'll see you in a second. Okay, well, we just had a bit of a disaster. I started recording the results, and then it crashed when I started to look at the civs, which is, you know, that was my fault. But it turned out I wasn't actually recording, so I'd misclicked on the other button, so it hadn't even started. So it was just a big disaster. I'll go again. Sadly, I can't really show you the civs, so I do apologise for that. It did just crash when I showed you the 10th place civ, which is not even a big one, so that was a problem. But yeah, I'll go over what I went through. And I'll explain the point system a little bit for anyone who's new. I know there's a few new people that we use just to pick the winner. Didn't actually matter too much because no one actually correctly predicted the winner, so sorry to spoil the party. I just checked through all the episode 1 comments to see no one picked the winner. It was actually very close for first and second. I'll just throw that out there as well. It started off very one way towards one Civ, and then the later end, the Info Addicts, another Civ actually caught up quite a bit. But yeah, so 2 Civs got no points. Netherlands, it's too small for too long, and Byzantium as well. 1 city is obviously the cut-off point for being good. Sorry to those guys. But then everyone else did get points. Portugal got themselves 4. The Garamantes got 1 more. They got 5. And then 13 points for Scotland, who were 9 off 10th place. So there you go. I think there's 15 Civs then left in total, excluding me in the corner as well, my submarine. So with 22 points in 10th place, they had a great game playing Tool. I am really sorry that I can't really zoom in on them to give them the justice they deserve, but we've been watching them for a few weeks now. I'm sure you know exactly what it is. It is Milan. They had rationalism from the beginning, and they've just been really interesting. They've got a lot of high tech. They've not really done anything, actually, so not interesting in that sense. But it's so impressive that I guess they've really utilised that extra science and minimising the number of cities they had. So they came 10th. In 9th place, certainly, and on 27 points, so 5 above Milan. A Civ that did have a bit of a fall from grace, and you can kind of see them on the screen at the moment. It is the French. Yeah, I mean, it was going better, and it certainly could have been a lot better, but it wasn't to be. But yeah, they were definitely entertaining throughout this game. They've done stuff in England. They were part of conquering Belgium. They held off Spain pretty well. So yeah, generally a cool game from France in 9th place on 27 points. Now we have a bit of a jump to 16 points, ahead of 16 points more to 43, which is Sweden in 8th place. Yeah, I mean, they took way too long to conquer Scandinavia. It was kind of, by the time they did it, it was too late to go anywhere else. So that kind of makes sense that they finished this low. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure not a bad game still. They still won in that region. Could have been Denmark, but it was Sweden, so they did the job. And now we've got another 14-point jump up to 57 points, where we have a Civ who they were initially like they were flying, like they were competing with the big 4 Civs. And I was like, okay, have I underestimated them? But it was the Papal States. They sort of slowed down towards the end to finish with 57 points. But yeah, they came 7th. Exciting game from them. Again, I don't actually think they conquered too much. Even the random city that they got in the Balkans between Poland and Austria, no, they never lost it. So I guess they've done okay. And now we're going to move 9 points up the board again to my pick to win. It is the Spanish. And that obviously does imply that they did lose out to Morocco, who came 2 points above them on 68. So it was very close. Maybe that one last city that they captured off the Garamantes at the end made all the difference, or Spain's failed war efforts probably made all the difference. But there you go. Morocco 5th, Spain 6th in that region. So now then, with 5th announced, that gives us our big 4. We all know who they are. Assyria, Egypt, Austria, and Poland. I've scrolled too far down. I was wondering who the other one was. Bit of a jump again. So 68 points, Morocco, 5th place. Now in 4th there was 82 points. Then there's another big jump, the biggest jump so far, of 18 points to 100 for 3rd place. And then 1st and 2nd are 114 and 116. So very close. A couple of positions in it between those top 2. So there you go. That's sort of just to break it down. So as you'd imagine, I guess I did sort of, I sort of, what's the word? You know, I pondered on it. That Egypt would be 4th, and that was correct. Egypt are on 82 points, and of course probably dropping as Assyria continues to conquer stuff from them. So they scored 82. They weren't as good. They were not as dominant as the other 3. The other 3 all had the categories that they smashed out of the park. Egypt never really had that. They weren't even 4th, like, guaranteed every time. You know, the other 3 spent most of their time in the top 3. Maybe had a couple of bad ones, but mostly in the top 3 all the time. Egypt were genuinely between 4th and 8th in every category. They were never 1, 2, well, not regularly 1 and 2. So yeah, it makes sense that they were quite a bit behind the others. And then we move up to 3rd, 100 points, and climbing still is Assyria. They were doing good. I'm surprised about this. I think they lacked a little bit in the cultural department towards the later stages of the Info Addicts. You know, the great works, the tourisms, the things like that. I might be wrong, but I think they sort of dropped off towards the end. Because although saying that, the Civ that came second skyrocketed towards the end. So maybe that's just a bit biased. But there you go. Assyria did come third. They had a great game, conquering a lot of Turkey. They're bringing the excitement right now by conquering Egypt as well. That's a big war between two of the big four, and that leaves us with 1 and 2. Of course, you know who they are, the two big red civs in the middle of the map. It was a very dominant start from Poland. I think they won something like the first 4 or 5 categories, no problem, cleaned up, first place. Then it started towards the end. There was a few where Poland, there was one where I think they got 0. Like, there was one they didn't even show up, and there was like one that they got like 8th place. And Austria won all the categories towards the end, so they closed the gap so much, but it wasn't to be. Poland are the winners, 116 points, just ahead of Austria. I don't know, if you did this in 10 turns, whether Austria would win. I don't know. Without declaring a war, would it be the same? I guess we could in theory work it out, but it doesn't matter. As I said, no one actually predicted Poland to win. Nobody, I believe, either picked Austria, so it doesn't matter. Assyria and Egypt were most people's picks. Like, they were a good majority of the picks. But we will now just go through the Info Addicts. As I said, I'll explain the score system just for anyone who's new. But before we do that, we'll quickly look at the religions, just to get that out of the way. There you go. It's actually got a lot. I mean, there's 20 between the first religion and fourth, but lots of cities for all these religions. Byzantium's is still going quite strong. Eastern Orthodoxy in 40 cities. Confucianism from Poland in 34. Catholicism in 27. And Buddhism is the most popular at the moment. But here we go. We'll have a look, assuming it opens. It did. There you can see Poland's score. Someone said they really enjoyed guessing who was who. So there's Poland, there's Austria, a lot closer than more than a 2-point gap. Of course, we didn't use all the categories, so that may have disadvantaged Poland a little bit. Maybe Poland is better off. There could be some bias there. You've got Assyria here in 3rd, Egypt 4th. I think that is actually still Spain on score because of the colour in 5th, then Morocco. So that's where the Info Addicts, our score system's got a bit different. A dark blue, that also has Sweden finishing above the Papal State. I don't believe our score system had that. And then, what was this? France, Scotland, Garamantes, Milan. So this areas are quite different. There's a blue line there as well. I don't know who that is. I'm guessing that's Byzantium. A white line, I don't know, that's Portugal, I think. This orange one must be the Netherlands. I've got no idea who this is. Must have missed somebody or counted someone twice, I don't know, it doesn't matter. We'll go into the world ranking. So population was used. Poland won that one ahead of Assyria, then Egypt, Austria, so big start for the big four there. Spain, Sweden, Morocco, Papal States, Scotland and France. There's a huge difference. France came 10th with 9 million compared to 140. Crop yield was also used. Poland led the way again ahead of Assyria and Austria. As you can see, Egypt not then in 4th. This is where Egypt messed up a lot. They were these three regularly interchanged 1 to 3 positions, sometimes 4th and 5th, but mostly 1 to 3. Egypt was regularly 4th to 8th. That's the problem, even though they were more consistent than all the others below them. So Poland won the most crop yield, then Assyria, Austria, Morocco, Spain, Sweden, Egypt, the Papal State, France and Scotland. On to production. Again, this was used, and it's actually very close. Look at that. That's very close between Poland and Austria. In fact, that wouldn't be the difference, but if Austria had 7 more, it would be 1 point closer, but it would not. Oh yeah, I didn't explain the system. I'll do that now. Poland, Austria, Assyria, Egypt, Spain, Morocco, Sweden, France, Papal States, Milan. Egypt did come 4th that time. But yeah, if you are new to the channel, you're wondering, what is this point system? So this is a category we use. We use manufactured goods, we use population, we use crop yield. Poland would have scored 10 here. Austria will get 9, 8 for Assyria, 7 for Egypt, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, down to 1 point for 10th place, and then there's a cut-off of nothing below that. And that's all it is for all the categories that we use. Some of them, the numbers might be equal, and, the world can't be perfect. I'm sorry. That's kind of it. We don't do the dividing the points. Usually, I like to assume and believe it does keep it in order of who got there first. but if you restart the game, it doesn't. So luckily, I did the results before the game crashed, and then it crashed. So hopefully it's fine, but the order might actually be different now to what it would have been previously if there's any ties. But we remove most of the ties categories are removed. The only one where there might have been a few ties is social policies, but again, can't have everything. GMP is used. Poland, Assyria, massive lead for Poland. It is a bit harsh, isn't it? Poland gets 10 and Assyria still gets 9, even though Poland's is nearly twice as much. Austria, Morocco, Spain, Egypt again falling, Sweden, Papal States, France, Milan. Land area was not used this time, although Poland didn't actually win it, but it wouldn't have mattered because Austria were further behind them. But yeah, we didn't use this time because there was areas of the map that were cut off. And it includes sea tiles, so I'm really not sure how fair it is as a category anyway. Going forward, military manpower, of course, was used. Poland dominant again. Then it's Austria. I think this is why Poland's score in the game is so much more, because they're so dominant. But in our system, they only get 1 extra point each time for being first to second. Austria in second. Spain is still in third, which is horrifying because they're so bad. Syria in fourth, and there's a bit of a drop to Egypt, Sweden, Morocco. The Papal States, Milan and France. Approval, not used. I mean, this is all a tie, so that would definitely be confusing. So that's fair enough. Literacy is not used, again, because there is technologies as well. We're not giving out double points here. Social policies is used. Yes, there is a tie here. In particular, there's also a little one here and some smaller ones here. This is the only category where it's really a bit off. Again, it wouldn't have made a difference. Austria still beat Poland here. It wouldn't have changed. That's the only score where it would have probably changed. Poland did lose to Austria here by 1. Then the Papal States, then Egypt, Assyria, Spain, France, Milan, Morocco and Scotland. Happiness was used. I feel like I don't always use this. The only difference I had to make here is Carthage is dead, so we had to sort of pass the points along, and China is obviously me spectating. So Sweden ended up getting 1 point, Scotland 2. Carthage obviously and China got 0 because they're not actually around. Carthage has a unit somewhere, but that's it. But yeah, Austria, Poland again, Egypt, Assyria, Papal States, Garamantes, Portugal, Milan, Scotland, Sweden. Okay, let me scroll down. Technologies. Poland, Egypt, Assyria. Like I said, I believe that is the order they got them, but we did not use technologies. That's a no. We didn't use it because can be unfair for Poland to hit 80 and then these other civs to hit. Now, like I said, I think this is the correct order, but just in case. Morocco's also up there, as you can see. Austria, Milan, Spain. Austria is a bit off. Spain, Milan's yeah, they're all near. They're there or thereabouts. And then you've got some of the strugglers. Netherlands on 52 still, for example. Net gold is not used because so many of them are running massive deficits, including the big 4 running the biggest 4 deficits. I don't think we should punish civs for, having those huge militaries that make the games interesting, so we don't use this. And like I said, all of them will be negative by the end, in a few more turns probably. So I wouldn't look into it too much. Cities is used. Poland, Assyria, Austria. There you go, there's the 2 points. Morocco, Sweden, Spain. If Assyria hadn't conquered those Egyptian cities, I believe Austria would have actually come second here. Sweden, Spain, Egypt, France, Papal States, and Scotland. Again, that's a bit harsh. A lot of 2s. I understand it's tough, but we don't have a perfect system. Science output, Poland leads Assyria, then Morocco, Austria, Morocco, Spain, Austria. If Austria did better here, that would have obviously boosted them on the technology one as well, which didn't matter. But if they'd have done better here, this is where they could have definitely made up some places. They could have tied for the whole game if they'd have just finished above Morocco. They didn't need to beat these 2, but they just needed to beat above Morocco. Oh, no, sorry. Yeah, no, they would. I know that doesn't make sense because Poland's still getting 10, but that Poland's 10 is already counted. So Austria would just gain 2 points if they were here. It wouldn't matter what Poland's score was. So, yeah. If Austria had finished above Morocco and Spain, who aren't that good for science, I don't know how they're even below them. That is beyond me. They're only just above Sweden as well. But there you go. Culture output, Austria. This is where they start to make their comeback in these final few categories that made it really close. They beat Poland here. Then it's Assyria, Egypt, Morocco, Papal States, Spain, Sweden, France, Milan. Wonders. We have Austria here, and this is where Poland, again, a big drop. They came 4th, so Egypt, Spain, Poland, Scotland, Papal State, Assyria, Sweden, Milan, and Morocco. Treasury is not used because some spend it, some don't. Poland are running a massive negative amount of money, but have obviously built up a huge amount in advance. Faith and faith gain are also not used. Yes, these civs are, in this case, these are the four with, or three of the four with religions. But some civs build the religious buildings, then don't get a religion, and then they just have a massive stockpile of total faith that they can't spend. Scotland, for example, I don't think Scotland deserve any points because, well, actually, Scotland has a religion, but I don't think Austria does, for example, and they would get points for this. That seems a bit harsh. Well, that would have cemented Poland's win. So there you go. Poland won. I think we've avoided the injustice. If Austria won, I think question marks could be asked, but Poland did still sneak it. Influence, I want to say, is not used. I've forgotten. I've lost it in my head. I did not use this column because Egypt didn't win any categories. Although, I don't know. I don't think we use this. I'm going to be 99% honest. But if you want to pause and read through it, that's absolutely fine. I'm 99% certain we didn't. We did use great works. Morocco with 23, then Austria, the Papal States. Here's another one where Austria really closed the gap. They got 9, Poland got 4. So again, that's 5 points. That's the same as removing the loss of 5 categories where Poland beat Austria 1-2. Egypt, Assyria, France, Poland, Milan, Spain, Sweden. Trade routes are not used because, I mean, most of them are a tie. Egypt has 9, but, you know, these are all tied down to 9th place. And then tourism, Austria won that one out ahead of Assyria, then Poland, the Papal State, Egypt, Morocco, Milan, Spain, France and Sweden. But that will be it for this episode. As promised, there will be some more. I'll just leave it running and see what happens. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. As always, if you have enjoyed, be sure to leave a like and a comment down below. If you are watching on the day it comes out, of course, enjoy Christmas. Or just enjoy your day if you're not celebrating. And thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.